Hello people and welcome to another Carcassonne analysis video. This will be the third video of the four-part series in which I will analyze all of my semi-final and grand final games of the Mindsports Olympiad Carcassonne Grand Prix 2024. This game is the first one in the grand finals, played against a strong Latvian master Krišs Kaukis with a screen name Krisna. We get the starting player advantage and we take the first castle. Krisna now already has a couple of options. He can either go over here and attack my city straight away, or he can go over here, start a castle of his own, and restrict my castle. He decides to attack my city straight away, which I also think is the strongest move. Reason being that if you start blocking your opponent in the very early part of the game, it very rarely pays off. And in case I would happen to get a city cap immediately with a road, I would not only get 6 points for the castle, but I would also be able to start a 3-point road. We can start a new castle and threaten to overrun this whole feature. The best part of this move is that regardless of the type of city tile that we get next, we can use it productively, either over here if it is a triple city or even a quad city, and threaten the completion of a large feature with any triangle or a triangle plus a city cap. Or if we get a triangle, then we can go over here and threaten the completion of a large feature with a triple city. Or if we get a city cap, then we can just go over here. Then later on, go with another city tile at the top, and then either block this square, leaving us with a 1-point advantage in a mini battle, or turn our other city piece downwards and try to complete the original plan and take over this large-ish feature. Krishna cannot get any great immediate value out of the triple city that they have in hand. They can't get like immediate 1 point by joining my 2-point city because they would have to direct the triple city upwards, which would leave me an opportunity to attack the shared feature again from the top. So instead, they meeple a triple city at the top themselves. And what this move now achieves is that it very effectively prevents me from following my original plan of going here with this triangle and trying to complete a city with a triple city. Like, of course, we theoretically could still do that, but because Krishna already now has a possibility to limit this square to a quad city with any triangle or with any triple city or with the quad city itself, if that happens, we will at least in 50% of the cases be on the losing side, because we would only have a 50% chance to draw that quad city in the first place. And if we do draw that, then we kind of have to go here just because we cannot allow red to keep building a large ruin at the top and be up on a mini battle. And then if we do not draw that tile, then Krishna can just go over here or over here, wherever he can get points for this ruin of his and be up on the mini battle. Therefore, we now have two moves to choose from. We can either go over here and add 1 point to our city, trying to complete a 6-point city, and have a possibility of grabbing a divider, going over here, finishing both my and my opponent's castle, then drop a farmer to a potential 9-point field, which will be very hard to attack to. Or we can go over here, not to just add 1 point to our opponent, but to have the possibility of still going with the original plan, grabbing another triangle later, directing it to the left, and then have 3 triple city tiles with a field to complete a 12 to 16 point feature. However, since that second option is very easily preventable by my opponent by going over here with any city tile with a field and me pulling a 1-point city or any city tile that there goes, we decided to go with the first option and to just add 1 point to our city. Red grabs the first monastery of the game and is now controlling our 2-point castle. Now we could theoretically go over here, direct the road downwards, and then be up 1 point in a mini battle, but that would be a very weak move since there are almost no features on the board and this tile is a road end and there is only one road on the map at the moment, so we do want to meeple that road. And that is exactly what we do. Red now doesn't have anywhere to take quick points with the crossroad, so he just decides to attack my road. We get to finish a 6-point city and start a new one. Red immediately restricts my city and adds 1 point to his monastery as well as starts his own castle. Fortunately, we immediately have a great tile in hand, being the starting tile, so we get to finish our castle and drop an early farmer. In the very best case scenario, we would immediately get a divider, add 2 more castles to the field and also meeple this side of the farm, then get another city tile, block the connection of both of my farmers and have a 9-point field and a 12-point field, which would likely be very hard to attack to. Red gets 2 points for connecting to my road and starts another castle. Here is again a great example of how important it is to have multiple cities open. He has one city open over here, second city over here, and third city over here, so he can use all types of city tiles effectively. we get a monastery of our own and happily meeple it next to my opponent's city so we can control that. Krishna goes for a monastery stacking, and although these monasteries are relatively safe and look very easy to complete, there is an issue, and the issue is that my field is likely going to get expanded to reach the right side as well, because there are so many curves in the game that as soon as Krishna gets one, I have no doubt that he will immediately go there and meeple the 4-point road. Since we have a field brewing and we have a city cap in hand, we might as well use the city cap on our own field, but more importantly, we are forcing red to spend a move on defending this square. Unless he is ready to lose 2 of his meeples in such an early part of the game, he is forced to defend, and in this case, this move we made works out wondrously, because now red has to use a valuable quick point tile to just add 1 point to their monastery and save the square. Now, since red was successfully able to defend the square, we should still not allow red to have easy access back to the monastery meeples that he has. And here is where a thing called Ukrainian technique comes into play. Although we are extending our castle and making its completion more difficult, at the same time making it more difficult for our field to have more completed castles in it, we are now controlling 2 of my opponent's monasteries with this castle. Because unless something goes here, red will never see his monastery meeples back in his hand. And if something goes here, then there is a great threat of me just grabbing any tile and finishing the castle with 1 or 2 moves. And finishing this castle is not exactly what my opponent would like to see, because upon completion, this castle will be at least 10 points minimum, plus 3 points to my field. Red grabs back a meeple. So now the thing is that I would ideally like to have a field triangle to place over here, so that this square would be restricted to a road triangle, and since there are 5 of those still remaining, it would be a large possibility that I will get at least 1 of them. And if I could get another triangle over here before placing a road triangle over here, then my castle would be a huge thing to finish. But since we don't get any type of a city tile, we also cannot allow our opponent to go here with a city tile and be able to then connect to my castle via the road triangle, and at the same time possibly releasing both of his monastery meeples. That is just an absolute no-no. Which is why we have to rely on plan B and restrict this square to the final remaining dagger with a right hand side curve. because whatever goes here, I definitely want to be able to extend my field to reach the right side. So that is why we go over here. The issue here is that this road restricts my castle quite a bit. And if red goes over here with anything and then over here and restricts this square to the same dagger that is already needed here, then he grabs the dagger, places it here, gets his monastery meeples back, but leaves my city meeple to 4 points. It will be horrendous. But I still cannot allow red to grab any city tile and attack my city from here, because the chances that red gets at least one of the 5 road triangles in this game are massive. And if red manages to free up both of his monastery meeples and share this castle, it will be at least equally horrendous as it would be of getting this meeple trapped over here and then my opponent releasing his monastery meeples. Krishna now has a couple of options. First of all, he could just take a meeple back and 3 points by finishing a castle on the left. And since this castle is located right next to a vacant road end, it is not that comfortable to be kept there for long periods of time. Second option is that Krishna could go over here and block this square so that I would not then be able to grab a divider and make 2 more castles onto the field and drop a second farmer. A third option is to go over here, start a new castle, make my monastery completion slightly harder by starting to block this square, and also threaten the blocking of this square, or at least severe restriction. A fourth option, however, which I think would have been quite feisty, is to go over here and meeple the road, which is easily completable. And although it would leave an empty city cap on my field, I cannot take it as long as this square can be blocked to a dagger. Krishna just ends up taking back his meeple, which is completely doable. We start a new city. And Krishna prepares to create a 2 versus 1 ruin or even a completed city if he gets the triple city early enough. He also now prevents the ideas of me getting the splitter and making the double cities to my field. We add 1 point to our monastery, but on hindsight, I think this was a rather weak move, because although it now creates a nice monastery spot for a second monastery, I had 2 meeples in hand and my field was in danger of getting boxed in. So I think a better move would have been to take a 4-point loop over here and expand the field. Krishna starts another city, but more importantly, he not only makes it harder for me to complete the monastery, but he also restricts the field massively. It is now at 6 points, and it has barely any room to expand without the dagger. We add 2 points to the city, making it more easily completable, but also we prepare to make it a ruin in case Krishna gets the final remaining dagger and does not place it over here. A blocking move by Krishna, and also this move restricts my field even further, because now it is even more difficult to find a tile over here to create the loop and to try and expand the field. Now, seeing that all starting tiles are out, we want to have the possibility to start blocking Krishna's 1-point city at the top. But we can also do this with added benefits, because when we go over here, we will have the possibility to use a crossroad over here and immediately take points from this road and not leave this road for my opponent to take 4 points later whenever I place a crossroad in here. And furthermore, whenever a crossroad is placed over here, it will increase the incentive for Krishna and myself to place the final remaining dagger to here to grab extra 5 points. Krishna finishes his 4-point city and starts a new one. And this wouldn't be an issue, but he made it with a divider. And now we have the crossroad in hand that we want, but because this crossroad is a city crossroad, we have to think, is it worth it to take 4 points from the road over here and add 1 point to our city? But because we want to be able to be the ones that take the 4 points and create the ready 5-point road over here and at some point get this monastery meeple back, I want to do this as soon as possible. Now, the worst that can happen is that we take 5 immediate points and then Krishna gets a triangle and finishes a 6 or an 8-point castle. So we would at worst be -3 in this exchange, but we would still have good chances of getting this monastery meeple back at some point. And I am prepared to risk that much, because it is not at all certain that Krishna gets a triangle immediately. And we could potentially then attack this city, or we can try to block this city. Krishna adds 2 points to his monasteries, and he is now prepared to have the compensation in the form of 2 meeples back into his hand in case I draw the final remaining dagger, take 5 points, prepare to finish my castle and extend my field. We continue with our plan of getting this meeple blocked. Krishna adds 1 point to his city and starts a new 4-point city. But I have to doubt whether this spot was the best possible one for the stoop divider, because now this large castle can be blocked to a dagger from here and from here. And I have to say that I think a better placement was one tile to the right, so that he could then try completing this large castle with triangles, like one triangle here, another one, and a third one, and then just wait for the final remaining triple city with a field to go over here. Plus there was one more divider in the deck, so if I try to place a triple city over here and try to mess with a 1-point city that Krishna has over here, then he would always have the case divider that he can use to negate that threat. Well, we continue our plan and we restrict Krishna's meeple to a triple city. There are now only one triple city with a road and one triple city with a field left. And since he already needs a triple city over here, it is unlikely that he will get both of the remaining triple cities and get use from both features. Krishna prepares a platform to harass my 1-point city and also now has a backdoor opportunity to block this castle if I continue it with a road triangle. Then Krishna can get just another triangle and go over here and make sure that this castle will never be completed. We now have a number of things that we can now do with this curve. Option 1, we can go over here and create a monastery spot to finish our previous monastery. And whenever you are in a situation where you are waiting for a monastery to finish your earlier monastery, you can just basically sit back and relax, because most often that spot cannot even be blocked. Option 2, we can go over here. Not to meeple the road, but to restrict this square to a triple city with a field. And because there is only one of those remaining in the deck, and Krishna already needs the said tile over here, he would then have to choose from two options where he would place that tile if he gets it. We don't want our opponent to have the possibility to use both of the triple cities effectively, because there is also a triple city with a road remaining. And if we restrict this square to a triple city with a field, then the best he could do with the other type of triple city is to just score maybe a couple points over here. Or, well, technically 4 points over here if red gets the triple city with a road immediately. Option 3. We go over here, make a loop, and try to expand the field, which I think is the highest priority. And that is what we also ended up doing. This does end up costing us, as Krishna gets a crossroad and is able to use it in a very effective manner, getting 3 points and ensuring that he can now use a triple city with a road to expand the other ruin that he has. We don't have that much to do with a regular straight road, so we just decide to make a platform to harass Red's 1-point city. Krishna adds 2 points to his city and directs it to the left, limiting the potential city caps that he can close the city with from 7 to just 3. The reason he directs it to the left is likely because he wants to avoid a disastrous scenario that could happen if he directs it to the right, and then I have a triple city in hand added to Krishna's city, and then make it almost entirely impossible for any of Krishna's cities to be completed. We have yet again a bunch of good options. Option 1, again, go over here and create a monastery spot. Option 2, add 2 points to the city, direct it upwards and make it relatively safe from any attacks. Or option 3, go here and since all starting tiles are out, have the possibility to completely block this castle. Or with a road triangle, go over here and limit this castle to a triple city with a road that Krishna already needs to this square. In this particular scenario, since Krishna only has 1 meeple in hand, these meeples are likely never going to get back into Krishna's hand, and releasing these meeples require giving points to myself. So the only realistic place where Krishna gets meeples back is this city. And this is why I decided to try and block that said city. Krishna adds 2 points to his city and a wonderful tile for us, but what to do exactly with it? Option 1 is to go over here, pre-finish our city, and if we then get the dagger, we will likely win the game, because we will get so many points for one move. 5 points for taking the road, 3 points for this castle, because it's gonna go to our field, 3 points for this castle, because it will be on our field, 14 points on our scoreboard for completing this castle, having another castle on our field ready to be completed, finished, and dropped a second farmer too, and also only giving 2 points to our opponent, but also giving 2 meeples back to him. But that would be totally worth it if we manage to get the final remaining dagger. Option 2, finish the loop. Do not meeple the city, but just leave an empty city cap on my field. And option 3, since there is a relatively small amount of city caps remaining, 6 to be exact after this cap that I have in my hand, just finish this city. Well, I decided that option 1 is the way to go, because the last thing I want to see is my opponent getting the final remaining dagger, taking 5 points from the road, getting 2 meeples back, giving me no meeples back, and just giving me 3 points in compensation. Krishna goes for a spatial move, takes away the green spot that I had on my field, does create another one, but using this will directly affect my loop road and make it more difficult to complete. We now have a road monastery in our hand, and for the longest time we have been craving for a monastery to go here. But the thing here is that we only have one meeple. And even though it looks like we have a lot of features that can get us a meeple back very easily, none of them is in a super safe spot. This road can be messed with. This city cap can be completed with the 6 remaining city caps, which is not a whole lot. Plus, if I place a monastery here, it will further increase the risk of this meeple getting blocked completely, and this monastery would be blocked with it. And we would have a double filled tile that would get us a meeple back, but there is a piece of road that our opponent can use to make a block on this square. But since we have been eyeing on moves such as going here with a regular curve, making a monastery spot, or going here with a field triangle and making a monastery spot, I decided to not waste this monastery, and I will try to benefit and complete it for maximum point efficiency. Krishna draws the vital dagger tile. Gets a meeple back. And now we get a straight line. Regardless of all features that we have on the board, and all types of tiles that we can use to get a meeple back, a double field tile, any city cap, any crossroad, any curve, we don't get any of those tiles. And now we gotta somehow figure out how we can use tiles efficiently that do not score us points. Well, the only possible spot that I saw any value to use this straight road in is at the top. Because in theory, this castle is still possible to be completed. There is still a city crossroad that goes over here. There are still 4 city caps that go over here, and there is still the triple city with a field. So since we can't get a meeple back and we cannot score direct points, I think the next valuable use for a tile is to make possibilities for us to start blocking our opponent's features. Now Krishna of course sees that we have a lot of possibilities to get meeples back from. What he also sees is that with this monastery, we took a small gamble and we put our faith into the possibility that this small castle will not be blocked. Well, seeing that there is a very small number of city caps with the field to the right side remaining, one to be exact being the city crossroad, Krishna will start blocking. Well, we could now go over here with the crossroad and hope for the city crossroads to come very quickly. But we only have a 50-50 chance to get that. But there are also other tiles that go here still. There is the triple city with a road and 4 road triangles, which would also in this situation be very welcomed to ensure that this square does not get entirely blocked. This is why I decided not to go with the crossroad to save this square, but I just decided to take my road meeple back. And this comes with a price, since both my monastery and my 1-point city do immediately get blocked. Well, all is not lost here, since we are exactly equal in points if we take into account everything that is on the board at the moment as it is. And we can still get a monastery over here and meeple it for an immediate 8-point move, which will be a high impact in this situation. However, this extender is not a monastery, but we can do something important with it, and that is to eliminate the possibility of this castle getting completed. Now, since Krishna has a meeple advantage, and we are equal in points, and Krishna does have all of these ruins that he can still rack up points in, he could just go, for example, over here, start a new field, and then make great use out of the remaining city caps. But he wants to remove the threat of me getting a second meeple back, and especially wants to remove the threat of me getting a meeple back and starting another monastery, which is why he does a marvelous move, and he goes over here with the divider and meeples the field. And now our chances of getting this monastery meeple back dropped drastically, because there are only 2 tiles that go into this square, being the final remaining field triangle, as well as the final remaining vanilla city cap. And we are also now forced to defend that square to remove 1 more of those tiles. So now we only have the vanilla city cap to get a meeple back. This is not great. It's actually a horrendous situation, because all of the point scoring opportunities are my opponents. With big city tiles, being the triple cities, they can go here, get 5 points, or go here, get 8 points, or make castles on their field worth 7 points to them if they make it, and only 1 point for me. At the moment, we are only +2, But because of all those threats, we are in a horrible situation. And Krishna immediately scores big time with a triple city with a road, gets 8 points and is now plus 10. 10 points with a blocked off field with only one tile for getting meeples back and with no open features. My point scoring opportunities are extremely limited. With a straight road, we decide to make one extra square to try and expand our field with one more castle. Krishna adds another 2 points. With a curve, we could try, and we honestly maybe should have tried to just place it over here and create a sort of long road without meepling this and just hope that we are the ones who draw one of the two remaining crossroads first. But instead, I wanted to try and restrict Krishna's field opportunities, and so I decided to make a spatial move, trying to restrict the chances of this castle being finished on Krishna's field. Krishna, another spatial move, just denies all possible spots from my field of starting another castle. We have another curvy tile, and we could do the thing again, going over here, not meepling this road, hoping to get the crossroad. But since we are minus 12, we are likely going to need a lot more than just a 6-point road. So we decide to create a chance for bigger points. And we decide to go over here, trying to pre-finish a 10-point city, hoping to get the final remaining field triangle over here, and then another road triangle over here, finishing a 10-point city, getting 3 points to the field, and then that would be a 13-point move upon being successful. It is a long shot, but it doesn't matter at this point because we are so far behind. Krishna adds 7 points to his field, 4 from the castle, 3 from the field. Now we get the city crossroad, and we have a lot of places we could take points from. We could take 3 points from here, but unfortunately we will not be able to direct this city cap in a way which would allow us to take 4 more points later on with the final remaining dagger with the left hand side curve. So that city cap would be useless for us because the only city cap left after that would be the vanilla city cap, and we already need it desperately here to free one of our meeples. Another option is to take 2 points from here, taking the road and adding 1 point to Krishna's castle. Now this would render this city cap useless because there is absolutely no way that Krishna will start a 6-point city with a field triangle because he is so far ahead that he doesn't need to risk anything. But since taking 2 points over here would allow a possibility for Krishna's large city to actually be completed, this is why I did not make this move in the first place, because I did not want him to have a remote possibility to score that huge, because I knew that if that happens, there is a 0% chance for me to win. Or as a third option, we could just take 1 point from this castle. 1 point because this is 4 points from the castle, sure, but this is also 3 points added to my opponent's field. But taking that 1 point from this castle would mean that my opponent would then have a 5 or a 6-point spot here with a field triangle, whereas for me it would only be 3 points or 2 points if that field triangle is with a shield. So given all those options, I just decided to go with the 3 points down below. At the moment we are now minus 16, and with this city cap that Krishna now has, it is about to be the final nail in the coffin. Another 7 points to Krishna, putting us at minus 23, with no possibility of getting our meeple back from the monastery anymore. At this point, we are now past the universe in which we would be able to win without major help from Krishna. There is no way we can win. But we can still make precise moves. Starting from taking simply 4 points with a crossroad. Krishna now being at plus 19 points. The only thing he has to do is to make sure that there is nothing on the map that can score large points for me. Which is why he does a wonderful move and blocks the castle on my field. And if it wasn't impossible earlier, now it is entirely impossible for me to win the game anymore. The only features that can yield large points for me at this point are the 9-point field of Krishna, the 9-point ruin of Krishna, and the 2 remaining regular monasteries that are in the deck. And to get points from the monasteries, I would have to go over here with them. I would have to complete those monasteries, which would mean that I would have to place this triple city first over here, then get a field triangle and place it over here, then get 9 points, and then have 2 tiles remaining to do something. And whatever I would do, it would not be enough. So at this point, we just try to have at least some points, and we attack Krishna's ruin. because there are still 3 triangles remaining. 1 with field, 2 with road. Krishna at this point can do anything he wants. It doesn't matter. But he does play precisely, creates a 5-point road for him to take if he gets a straight road. We need to protect this connection, since if Krishna gets any of the 3 remaining triangles before us, then they can go over here, restrict this square to a triple city, which are no longer remaining in the deck, and prevent our connection. And at this point, it does not matter that we add points to Krishna's ruin, because our goal is to connect to it and get the same points that he gets anyway. Krishna calmly adds 2 points to the other ruin that he can then take if he wants. Now, knowing that the only city tile remaining in the deck after the field triangle is gonna be a road triangle, and because we cannot prevent Krishna from taking this ruin if he gets the road triangle, then it is completely useless to try and add this field triangle to this ruin. But instead, we can do a precise move and block the best possible monastery spot. Krishna gets the 5 points that he laid for himself to take, and with a monastery we can take out one of the 2 5-point monastery spots. Krishna takes the other 5-point monastery spot, and we get the remaining filled triangle and connect to Krishna's ruin, yielding us 10 points. And as you can see, we lose by a big margin of 20 points. Now I think what eventually led us to this position is the small risk that I took with the Road Monastery, knowing that there was a chance that it will get blocked along with this 1-point city. But since I'm really against wasting monasteries on something like just taking 2 points, especially if I can surround my monastery in a great monastery spot, I am having very hard time to resist that temptation. Also, we unfortunately lost the 50-50 on the dagger, but that was a choice that I was ready to do, reducing my chances to that 50-50 in the first place, I mean. And then the wonderful boxing of my farmer by Krishna was just a very precise and beautiful play on the part of the Latvian master. Assisted with also the great move made with the divider, severely restricting the possibility of getting my monastery meeples back and starting a field of his own and getting extra value from all remaining city caps. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Do let me know in the comments if you did, and I will see you again with some more Carcassonne content. Bye for now.